What's up, everyone? Criddle here, and yesterday we got a new patch, and I was able to play that last night, so I was going to talk about that a little bit today and my thoughts on it, and go over some of the patch notes. But before I do that, I want to give a big kudos to Visionary Realms, and this is not being facetious in any way possible. I'm very happy that this happened. So if we go right over here to the server status, we can see that they announced on the 11th that the servers will be coming down for a weekly patch the next day, so that would be the 12th, and the server downtime, so it was going to start basically at 11:50, the servers were going to become unavailable, 12, the servers were going to come down, and it'll be down for approximately 2 hours. They then followed that up with an announcement yesterday at noon Eastern time that the servers would be coming down, so that at basically 3 p.m. right here you can see 3 p.m. Eastern time, and they'd be down for another 2 hours. So they reiterated that that would happen, and they followed through. So they set an expectation, they met that expectation, and I'm very happy that happened. This is the first patch that I can remember in a long time for early access where that expectation was set and also met. I do not expect this to be the case every single week or every single time they do a patch, but it is nice that we are following through with that. That comes up here, to this post right here, which basically effectively said, hey, we, have made some mistakes, some blunders in our beginning of early access, and we are going to rectify those going forward. And this is a huge step in making sure that that continues. So again, I want to give a big kudos to the Visionary Realm team. I love seeing this. I'm happy to see this, and hopefully we continue to move forward in this direction. Okay, so that all said, let's take a look at the patch notes. Again, a big kudos to Visionary Realms. These patch notes were much better than some of the previous patch notes. The things that I saw in the patch notes, I was able to confirm for the most part in the actual game. Sometimes in previous patch notes, some things that were written out in the notes said, this was fixed or this was fixed, and then we actually get into the game and none of it was actually changed or fixed in the iteration that was pushed to us, the players. It may have been fixed on their end, but it didn't actually make it to us sometimes. So I wanted to say that again. A big kudos to Visionary Realms for getting that communication working a little bit better this time around. Hopefully, again, we can continue doing that going forward. It's big steps. So first, I want to look at the player corpses will now be present on the server shard where the player died. For example, if you die at level 5 and above on Black Moon 1, you will need to loot your corpse in Black Moon 1. This is a big change because with the recent update and Unity 6 update, something happened to where corpses were being duplicated, and you were able to loot those corpses and res those corpses in some cases, getting a huge benefit for that. So this fixes a lot of that issue, at least for now. Hopefully in the future, we can actually get rid of shards completely. I have heard through the grapevine that Visionary Realms does want to get rid of shards eventually, and they do not want to have sharded servers. But right now, because of the population of some servers, the lack of content in the game, it's just better for the player base to be able to shard hop a little bit. So I understand where that's coming from, but hopefully in the future, we can just get rid of shards completely. Next up, we got some lighting adjustments here, and then also adjustments to the gloom totem and overcast color. Both of these right here were very, very nice. I went to Mad More last night, and I was doing some XP stuff, and even in the rain at night, I could actually see a little bit, and then at night, I could see very, very well. Now, I do want to talk about this very briefly. I like the idea of things being dark. I like the spookiness of it. I like the, not knowing what's around the next corner. But the problem is the game has been way too dark, and in many cases, people have been adjusting their monitor settings or their video card settings to increase that brightness so that they can actually see and play the game. The game effectively, for a lot of people, is completely unplayable in the evening, or was completely unplayable in the evening or at nighttime in the game, even if you had a light source. So this is a big change in that direction. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want to have that dark. I love having that darkness, but we know we don't need that darkness until the players have tools in place to negate that darkness. Things like infravision or night vision or whatever, different types of sights that we could have, and then better lighting in general for our lanterns and torches and those kind of things. Once we get those tools in place, then I think we should adjust the lighting back to that super dark. But for now, they may have gone a little bit too far on the lighting and made it a little bit too easy to see at night, but I would much rather it be easy to see at night rather than can't see and play at all, because honestly, like I said, the game is not fun when you play at night previous to this patch. It was just, in my opinion, a terrible experience. Animation tweak for human male and female two-handed walking. I'm not even sure what this means right here, but I guess they had some issues maybe where there was some clipping or something with two-handed weapons in their hand. Re-added the dynamic resolution option. This was added back into the game. They also added in the FSR2. If you don't know what these are, this is basically dynamic resolution is an NVIDIA thing. So if you have an NVIDIA card, then that would work for you. If you have an AMD card, then FSR2 is the setting that you want to try out. Of course, they did note this is experimental and not all graphics cards support it. So I'm not 100% sure if every graphic card might do this or if it's just AMD. I don't know enough about that, but I do know that dynamic resolution is an AMD thing. Added anti-aliasing option back in the graphics, and then also the detailed mesh. So going into the game now, the game, in my opinion, looks a lot better. It runs smoother than it did directly after the Unity 6 update, but not necessarily for me as smooth as it did prior to the Unity 6 update. So we're still making some adjustments. We're getting there, but the game does look very, very good. This is actually at dusk. You get like this yellow tint everywhere at dusk, and then maybe even at sunrise, which I actually like. I think it adds a little bit more realism to it. It's very nice. Bug fixes, some bug performance issues, which is what I was just talking about. They're making some of those performance issues prior to Unity 6. They had done a lot of performance issues fixes, and then they had to roll some of those back for Unity 6 to get it in place. And now they're going back and adding those performance issues or those performance fixes back in after the Unity 6. Fix some crashing issues. A lot of people have been crashing quite a bit. Fix the disable sky option sometimes not being applied, which is nice. Fix a spot near thrown fast. So these two right here are basically, they fixed where you could swim on dry land and where water is just sticking up out of the ground. These aren't the only two spots for that, but it is nice to see that we are getting those kind of things fixed. Right-clicking anywhere on an ability box is very awesome, because after Unity 6, for some weird reason, at least prior to Unity 6 update, I was able to click like anywhere well, not on that because that's not a thing, but I was able to click anywhere on this skill to equip it to my hotbar. After the Unity 6 update, you had to click directly on the icon. They have now made it where you can click back on to the entire skill, which is, to me, a very nice change. I like that kind of stuff. Fix for some visual effects were not going away. This right here is the only one I know of is the fear effect that you get when you're fighting some NPCs. It would not go away. There might have been some others that I don't know about. And then fix an issue that would cause the screen to render solid black in some places in the world. I had this when I was running around in Eastern Plains, going toward the new knoll area. When I got really close to that, my entire screen went black. Another friend of mine had the same issue going in to kill the white wyvern. I don't think that was last night, but the night before that. So before the patch, maybe before the patch, he was having that issue. So hopefully we're going to start getting some fixes to that. In the world, they added mining nodes to a lot of places over in Wild Ends, mining, woodcutting, harvesting, alchemy, and food nodes, which is great to see. And we got some new mobs over in Silent Plains. Those mobs are around the level 30, 32 range, somewhere in there, which is great to have for some XP content for those people in their low 30s or maybe even high 20s. You can go over there and camp those. I did not spend a lot of time over here, but from my understanding, they only drop about 30 to 40 silver each. I know that we were going to be getting a nerf to the money drops in Hownir Cave, and that was going to be fixed by putting some money on some higher level mobs. And I think this was supposed to be the first patch or first step towards that. The nerf did not happen to Hownir Cave yet, but these mobs are also, I don't believe, dropping sufficient coin at 30 silver each. and then that gets split out, so they only ends up being, 5 silver or so per person in your party, depending, on how many people you have, etc. So hopefully we continue to look at that, so we can actually get some money in those higher level ranges. There's still no fix over in the Mad Moor area, where I was fighting last night. There's still dropping copper over there. So hopefully we start seeing some of those things happen soon. NPCs, so they did fix the banker over here. They added in the necro trainers in Demyth. So there's a necro trainer and trait vendor over there. They're still missing the trait vendor for warriors in Demyth. I don't know if they're missing other ones over there or not, but warrior is still missing in Demyth. And then some item changes here. We have crafting components have been removed from supply crates as they're no longer used. So several crafting components that were just in supply crates as extra items, they removed that. Basically what they did, I feel like, is they went through the supply crates and they just modified the loot table, because you can see here the torn map fragment should now appear more often in supply crates. Please note the item and its corresponding quest will be completely reworked in a future update. So we don't know when that's going to happen. And also I would prefer some clarification on that. Are we going to need to redo this quest? Are we going to just get updated items? What's going to happen with that, and how are we going to actually work that? Because like right now, I know that the cleric gets the same item as both the paladin and the warrior. I personally don't feel like the cleric should be getting the same shield that has a damage shield on it. Maybe some people like it. If it were me, I wouldn't want that. Other updates were the percent sign is added to the Goblin Punch. So that's now there. So it's not just movement speed increased by 2, it's 2%. Added a description for this plate. And then they also changed this right here, the Sightweaver's Robe, to grant 36 spell crit rating rather than the 18 spell crit chance that was on it. 36 spell crit rating is about 2% crit chance. Now, that said, they did not, apparently, either maybe they didn't see it or they didn't know about it, but I'm going to call it out right here. The Hurt Stick still has 18 physical crit chance on it, and you can see that right here. If I have crit chance as 8% and I equip this, it's 24%. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for pointing that out to them, but if that actually is 24%, I don't think it's intended, but maybe it is. It is a lower damage weapon than things of a similar level, and it doesn't have a proc on it. So maybe that is the case. Is it supposed to be a high crit chance? Then we have the White Wyvern clicky effect has been activated. We know what it does now. It actually is a permanent effect. I have it on my wizard, so I double checked it last night. It's a 2-minute cooldown, but it's a permanent effect when you put it on, and it increases both cold and nature damage. So that is that. I don't understand why, though, that summoners didn't get this. From my understanding, summoners actually do nature damage, but maybe they just feel like summoners are in a good place. But it does help the wizard out quite a bit with their cold spells. And then with the druid, ranger, and shaman, a lot of their stuff is nature. Crafting stuff, so we're getting a lot of crafting changes, and I want to talk about something else with this here in just a second. But we are getting a lot of crafting changes here, which is nice to see, and then some visual effects. So the last thing I want to talk about with this patch, it didn't happen with this patch, but it happened previously, and I believe it's under maybe dev tracker here. So there's a post here basically saying, hey, we're looking at all the crafting stuff. I personally don't like the crafting system in the game. I think it's not in a good place. And in fact, the person that does this, which is Nefel here, said, as many of you have observed, both of these areas kind of suck right now. So that's their words, not mine. But the schematic acquisition and crafted item viability, they are looking at that, and hopefully we're going to start getting those changes soon. In addition to that, the Unity 6 update slowed me down, but jewel crafting is close. So hopefully we'll be getting jewel crafting here in the next couple of patches, so we can add that in, and we can look forward to having more crafting options, because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to start seeing that. Jewelry is very lacking right now in the game. There are some really good jewelry pieces, but there's just not an abundancy of them. So anyway, that is it for the update. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, follow. Also, I do stream daily over on Twitch, so come on over and say hello. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.